What's up, everybody? It's Greg Burge with Delta Financial, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you better through coaching with sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And we bring on guest speakers. Today, I've got the honor and pleasure of welcoming my good friend, Mr. Zach Allen. Zach, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Awesome.
So I'm back in the field. I just told Joey that we recorded earlier.
Yeah, man.
Like, dude, it's actually kind of I miss this.
There was something earlier I saw you post a sale, man, and it brought back the memories of the competitive weekends we would have.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know. It brought back the older days, I suppose. So
Yeah.
I enjoy seeing it. So good for you, man. I'm happy.
Dude, it was good. Like I had a good dial session. It set some good appointments. Started off, it was weird. It's like riding a bike. I haven't been in this mode where I'm like, buy leads, set appointments, do my appointments, execute with managing all my other tasks. Right.
Let's talk about this for a second. Did you get the nervous feeling getting started again?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, you mean the Greg Birch still got nervous when it came time to dial the phone?
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. So right before I started the dial session, I literally went in the bathroom for 10 minutes before I started, and I stood in the Superman pose. I'm not even kidding you, bro. I do this every single time I go to dial. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it was weird being back in that mode because it was like riding a bike again. So it was like, okay, well, I got dial session today, and I purposely did a live dial session so it forced me like I got to do this now because there's gonna be agents that want to watch. So I did that on purpose, and then when the time frame's coming up, like 10 minutes before, I was like, well, gotta start getting ready for dials. Went in the bathroom, stood in the super. I'm telling you, you stand up, you stick your chest out. You stand in the Superman pose, hands on your hips, and it like raises your testosterone like within a couple of minutes. I did affirmations. I always do that. And basically just like got in a positive mindset that I'm telling you that energy can be felt through the phone.
Absolutely.
It can be felt. And so like when I get on the phone, I'm just much more calm. I've got higher confidence levels. My brain's firing off on all cylinders. So people got to hear this. I mean, I did dials for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yep.
Dialed 20 leads. I dialed through them twice. And I spoke to 9 total people, got a call back because they were literally going out of town. So he's like, call us back in 2 weeks. Got a not interested anymore. And then I set 7 appointments.
Not bad for an hour and a half.
Yeah. It's just great leads. So then this morning I wake up and I did the same thing that I do when I have an appointment day, where first thing I do is I literally think through all the different appointments based on the information I got in the phone calls. And I write out, hey, this is where I want to take them. These are the potential applications or carriers I'm going to go with based on what I know so far, kind of doing some prep work. But then also I just like literally think through and try to be like, okay, I want to focus on being the best servants I can. Like I'm just going to be the best advisor I can and really try to focus on helping these people and to find the best solution for them. And I feel like getting into those mental rhythms whenever you go into the field and doing sales, stuff like that, it really does help you to focus on the things that are most important. Focus on the prospect, not the product.
Absolutely. So it was really good seeing you do that again. And I think you inspired a ton of people. I mean, it's really cool to see you work. And I don't even know, I'm sure you realize it, but you're so good at your script. When somebody jumps on the phone, how quickly you mimic them. Your Tennessee comes out so strong sometimes.
Oh, dude, bro. It does.
It comes out, but it works though.
It does work.
Yep.
It
absolutely.
does.
So, and those are the little things, man, that the apprenticing under somebody really, really helps you pick up on.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. It's funny you point that out. I was trying to get that was the biggest thing I wanted people to realize, is that I sound different in every single phone call.
Absolutely.
I sound so different. If you were to record me and on all 9 of those calls, if you record me, the tone of my voice is different in every single one.
Yep.
Because I match the client and who I'm talking to.
Yep.
And so there was somewhere I'm like, hey, what's up, Cletus? And I'm just like, and I get that Tennessee accent that comes out real quick. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's the tone and the speed, and some people would say that you're making fun of the client by matching their accent, but no, it's welcoming to them. You're one of them,
Yeah,
and you're actually showing care and concern about the client. It works 100%. So
absolutely.
it's really
And
cool to see.
I also took if you for those there was a bunch of agents that were on there that were listening. For the ones that were listening, they came on and a lot of them realized that like when I had an objection, I would take it very slowly.
Yeah.
I let them say what they had to say. And I'm like, hey, perfect. That's actually what I was calling. So hey, here's what I like to do, and then just kind of talk it through. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine, because I don't freak out, right?
Yep.
Most times, the biggest thing that gets you on the phone when you're setting appointments are going to be objections. That's where you're going to get most of your objections is really on the appointment set. It's going to be like there's like 4 or 5 main objections you can get, and people are going to they hear that objection and your heart rate skyrockets.
Yep.
And you're like, oh man, they're not going to set an appointment with me. And you're like, oh crap. And then you're fumbling and you're trying to, and what happens every single time I hear it, I've seen it on live dials recently, is they start responding and they cut the client off before the client's even done.
Yep.
Like, oh, well, so this is, and you gotta slow down. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yep.
Slow your script down. Take a breath. You can even take a second to be like, okay, hey, I appreciate you being busy. I'm actually busy too. That's exactly why I was calling.
Yep.
I'm actually trying to find a time that your schedule is available. And that's why I called. So, when are you going to be off of work? Oh, I'm getting off at this time. Perfect. Let me ask you a couple questions and I'll have you right off the phone. And then you jump into the script. They already answered the phone. There's a lot of people. How many people told me that they were busy, or they even had like the oh, I'm doing this, that, the other. And I'm like, hey, perfect. Exactly. Hey, ma'am, I'll have you right off the phone. Just real quick and just very soothing. And they're like, okay. And then they'd sit there and talk to me for another 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes.
Right. They're not that busy. They answered the dang phone. And that's the hardest thing for a new agent to understand and remember is, yeah, they're telling you that, but it's just a smokescreen.
Yeah.
They were clearly not busy enough to answer the phone and take your call. If it was their mom, they would have kept talking. It's just a smokescreen to try to get you off the phone. There was one phone call I remember in particular, and I reiterated it to the agents that were listening. She's like, I'm really in a hurry. And you're like, perfect. I'll have you right off the phone. Just a couple quick questions. You did your script the exact same as you did everybody else. You didn't speed anything up.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know that. But the fact that you acknowledged her, she calmed right down and talked to you.
Yeah. And also her demeanor changed.
Yes.
Drastically. And I was like, hey, yeah, perfect. Because I was very soothing.
Yep.
Like I heard that and I wasn't like, okay, well, let me go ahead and jump in. We'll get you right off the phone. Like, and really quickly, like I got to talk super fast now because I want to respect your time. Like, I'm not going to do that. I was just very calm. Because my energy can actually, like your energy can be felt and it can also transmit to the person you're talking to. So if you're very, very calm and slow and you're like, perfect, I'll have you right off the phone and very like soothing, what happens is they'll calm down too.
Yep.
As you'll feel them like you will literally almost feel the energy on the phone just calm down. And that's exactly what she did. I just came in with a very soothing tone. Hey, no worries. I'll get you right off the phone. Let me ask you a couple questions real quick. Is that fair? She was like, yeah. Okay, perfect. Hey, and then I just jump right into my regular script. Boom, done.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And she was very calm. She was very soothing at that point. And she never once did she say again anything about time.
Right. Zero complaints at all. It's reciprocal. I mean, I'm talking to one of my agents now, like literally as before you and I jumped on here, and she's been having a little bit of trouble. So we were discussing things last night, and she tried some new stuff today, and she's having good luck with it. And I was like, "What'd you change?" And she's like, "Well, I went back and looked at my recording, and she's like, I always look grumpy." She's like, I've been smiling today and been a lot more positive, and it's reflecting in the clients. I'm like, yeah, they'll mimic that.
Yep. I was telling people the same thing, like smile when you dial. Smile when you dial. And people, when I was on Zoom, that's why I had my screen on purposely so people could see me and they could see the way I was talking and how I was looking around, and like kind of I would use my hands and motions because I still want to be expressive when I talk. I
Right.
still want to get that energy out there. Right.
Yep.
So,
Yep. It's very cool. And these are little nuances you learn over time.
yeah.
Just like, I was sitting in the home of a client the other day. I guess who is it that says they're complaints, not objections? Is that Cardone?
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah.
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 I believe so.
I was sitting in a home the other day for Medicare, and the gentleman reaches across the table and takes his cards and says, I'm not doing anything today. And as a new agent, I would have said, well, okay, my job here is done.
Yeah.
But now what I know now, slow down, continue talking to him. And I sold both of them. It's just a complaint.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge it, keep talking, keep moving, and it all works out.
You're absolutely right. Like my first appointment, my first sale today, um, the guy, we had a great connection. Uh, I got a lot of information from him. Understand the situation real well. Got his why. Got all the way to the end. I completely did an application. I always do the application first, and then I show him, hey, based on this, because I've already picked in my mind, this is the carrier I'm going to go with. So I'm basically like, hey, I need to ask you some medical questions, see if you can even get pre-approved. I go through the entire application all the way up to the banking. I stop there. I go back to the product page and I say, hey, you're pre-approved. Congratulations. Like, yeah, yeah. Like, you give them the whole like congratulations fist bump, and I'm like, okay, hey, look, this is what the company is recommending as a critical period coverage for because he had like 188,000 mortgage,
Right.
no coverage in place, and so and he was 74. It was just like, dude, you ain't. And he previously had cancer like 5 years ago. It's like, dude, you ain't getting any terms. It's not happening.
Right.
Not at your age, not at that health. But I was like, what we can do was critical period. I explained what it was. We went through the application. I said, hey, look, I'm recommending you do a 2-year critical period cover covers your mortgage payments for 2 years. That's what I would recommend based on the financial situation. Because I actually did a really good financial inventory with him and his wife and like how much money she was going to lose. And then I said, hey, but they also recommend 1 year minimum. So I showed him a 2-year and a 1 year.
Right.
And the 2 year was like $370, and the 1 year was 190.
Right.
And he was like, well, 370 is, he's like, that's out of the budget. I can't do that one. And I was like, perfect. Well, let's do the 1 year then.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I could afford that. And then he kind of looks at his wife. He's like, what do you think? And she was like, I don't know. What do you think? And he was like, I don't know. And she was like, you want to think about it? And he was like, yeah, maybe. And he looks at me. He's like, hey, can we think about it? And I was like, yeah, actually, I was like, I want you to think about it. You should, bro. And I was like, I was like, here's what I recommend. You need the coverage, right? He was like, yeah. I was like, we need to see if you get approved, right? Yeah. Okay. So I was like, I say we still put an application to see if you get approved. And if you're approved, they're going to send you an application in the mail. You're going to be able to review it. That's called your free look period. That's your time to think about it. As long as it's everything I said it is, which it will be, that will give you an idea of like what this will be and what the value is of it. Okay.
Right.
I was like, what I found, and this is what actually got him. And I was like, the first thing I said before that was I said, I was like, this only gets more expensive with time. And his birthday was coming up in like a month and a half.
Yeah.
It's only going to get more expensive. He was like, yeah, no, you're right. I've actually waited way too long. And I was like, done, son, done. So he admitted it right there. So I was like, hey, look, what I like to do with my clients and what they actually appreciate is that once they actually get the policy in the mail and they see it, it becomes real to them, and it's easier for them to already budget it into their budget because it's started. So it makes it a lot easier for them to actually budget this in. And I was like, and plus, you just said yourself, you've waited too long. Why would we wait another day to see if we can get you approved? And he was like, you know what? You're right. And he was like, he looked at her. His wife was like, she's like, yeah, let's do the 1 year. Completely different. Like, completely different. Now, if this would have been rewind the clocks back a year and a half, 2 years, I would have looked at that and been like, he'd be like, oh, can I think about it? And I'd be like, well, yeah, you can, but like, let's go ahead and get the carrier's got to think about you too. And, but you got to get approved. And I've been throwing all this shit. So I know what it's like when I hear an agent like freak out when I get like one of those objections or complaints. I know what it's like because I've been there. And the best thing you can do is just literally stay relaxed.
Yep.
It's a conversation. That's all you're doing. You have a conversation. When you start to get all high pitched, because that shows you only care about selling. I literally in that moment was like, he doesn't have any coverage. I need to do my best to make sure he gets something in place, because if he passes away, she was losing a lot of income because he had his full VA disability, which was almost $4,000 a month. She would have lost. And then his social security, which is like $3,000. He had a massive social security. And then it was her social security that she would have lost. So she would have just got his, and she would have went from almost $9,000 income in a month to, it was like 8,500 down to like 3,000.
Wow. Yeah, that would have really hurt him.
It would have been a huge difference. And so I literally did the math. I was like, hey, look, the day he passes away, you're losing 65% of your income.
Right.
65% of your current income. You're going to lose. And I was like, my goal is to get you something in place that's going to help offset your mortgage payments for as long as humanly possible. Right. Yep. And so when he started to give that, the first instinct was like, I need to do everything that I can to showcase the importance of this so that I can help them.
Yep.
Because he truly needs this. He needs something in place.
But you sold off a value, not price.
Yes.
You built the value to them.
Yeah.
You know, is there a little bit of a price factor? Sure. You know, he couldn't quite afford the 2 years, but you know, it wasn't, I only have $50. You know, it was, you showed them the value that is bringing to them. Yeah. So,
and I didn't freak out, because when you do that, like I was saying earlier, and I didn't finish my thought, is you're just showcasing you want to make the sale for you, that you're trying to make a commission. Right. And that's where the scared feeling, and you could sit there and be like, no, let's be real. Like, let's be real. You know what I'm saying? Because I hear that from agents all the time. Like, you'll be like, well, you're probably just scared about losing sale because you're afraid of the lose. Because I'm not afraid to miss the commission. I really care about my clients.
That fight or flight kicks in.
Stop gaslighting. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be honest with yourself. And it's okay. That's not a bad thing. Okay. I was the same way when I first started. It took me a lot of time. It took me a couple of policies where I messed up and I wasn't able to provide someone something, and then they passed away, and then they were like calling me and they're like, what can you do? And I'm like, I can't get insurance on somebody that's dead, bro. Like, I hate, like, and it sucks. It sucks. I've had clients pass away, and I've had clients where I've had leads that I was supposed to go to an appointment and I missed it. And then I rescheduled. I went like 48 hours later, and so passed away in a car accident in between then. Like, and you're like, shit, man, what I do is real. This is heavy.
And go ahead. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I have a lot of agents that get caught up in what's the perfect policy for this client. Yep. And what you need to step back and understand, the worst thing you can do is leave them uncovered.
Yeah.
Absolute worst thing.
Well, so I actually gave a really good example. I recorded another podcast today, and it'll air probably about the time this airs. I don't know. But no, actually it'll air a couple weeks. But in the example, I talked about focusing on the prospect, not the product. Okay. So you just focus on learning everything about them, showing an understanding and professionalism with them through empathy, repeating their situation, gaining a know, like, and trust. Because what happens when you do that is that they're gonna believe, and they're gonna like and enjoy talking so much because you have understood truly understood them. And that's what every single individual, all they want is to be understood. Every single human on the planet wants the feeling of being understood. And so when you do that to a client, you actually took the time to understand them. They're going to look at you and be like, man, I owe you something, because now you've given me this gift of understanding. I owe you a gift, and I'm going to reciprocate it by understanding you. You could tell them that they got to do whatever it is. It's not about finding the perfect policy. It's just about finding a policy that fits their need, right? Because there's no perfect policy. It's just whatever fits their need based on their situation. Okay. And so now think about it like this. I just talked to them, and what I did is I found their wound, their pain point, found their wound. I opened that thing up. I played around a little bit on it to make sure how painful it was. I rinsed it out with some alcohol to really get some stinging in there, but like, hey, here's some solution. And now the solution is like, okay, well, we can super glue it together. We can get the butterfly sticker to close it up, or we can suture it, right? All three of those will work.
Yep.
But like, I could be like, hey, we're just gonna get some super glue on this bitch. It's not that deep. It's deep enough that we got to get something in there, but I'm gonna super glue this together. We don't have to go to the doctor. It's quick. It's instantaneous. You're gonna get protected today, right?
Yep.
Or I could be like, hey man, I'm gonna go to Walgreens. I'm gonna get some butterfly stitches. This is gonna be quick, but like, I don't want to do super glue because it's a little bit too deep. But we don't need to go to the hospital. Or I'm gonna be like, hey bro, we're gonna go to the hospital. You're gonna get a blood, urine. We're gonna, it's gonna take some time, but
Yep.
it's gonna be the best for you and the cheapest possible solution, right? We're gonna try to find the best rate. All of them fix the client's situation. They all fix the problem. They're different routes.
Yep.
Right. So it's finding out, it's basically this reading the person, like, where do they want to go? Some people I've went the wrong way and I've been like, hey, let's just go ahead and do this super glue. And they're like, you know what? I kind of want to get sutures. And I'm like, all right, I can do that too.
Right.
And then I switch on the fly.
Yep.
Fully underwritten. Boom.
Let's go. And then you do your annual reviews and you sit down and you review the client situation again.
Yeah.
Maybe they stay. Maybe you pick another product at that time. But as long as you're continually meeting with your clients and have those touch points, you're not doing anything wrong. Don't fall into analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
So there is the only wrong answer is leaving them unprotected. The fact is they filled out that lead and there was something in their mind that told them they needed this. Now they'll put up a smoke screen and hide it, but it's your job to keep digging.
Yeah.
So and show care and concern towards that client. So the smoke screens are always there, even if they filled it out.
So that agent you mentioned earlier that you said she was looking at her recordings and she was like, man, I'm kind of grumpy. I need to smile. How's she been doing? Have you been doing the apprenticeship with her and the coaching?
We started a couple days ago.
Mhm.
After she's doing more advanced market stuff. So after every single call, she gets on with me and we're discussing what she did right, what she did wrong, what's the potentials here, and reviewing everything. So um, steering her down the right path. It's working out very nicely. So
That's good, man. That's
yeah,
good.
that the apprenticeship thing works, man. It's slow and steady.
Yeah.
Slow and steady. It takes a lot of time to reproduce yourself. I mean,
Hardest thing to do, bro.
it is. It is. I mean,
Hardest thing to do.
how long have I worked directly with you? You know, um, I was hired by you, and we work side by side now for several years. You would send me Marco Polos, hey, or I would send you one, say, hey, this is what I encountered, and you would send one back, say, do this, do that. It's because you can't possibly sit there and tell somebody every single situation they're going to encounter.
Yeah.
So, you can teach them a little bit, then they have to fly, but you need to be there to show them the way each time, whatever they're encountering,
Yeah.
and then over time, that they start to become more like you in your sales process. So little corrections over time, 1% better every day.
Yeah. It's
You
what it's
know,
really about.
Yep,
Honestly, it's what it's about.
absolutely. I mean, look at Dustin Bruley. Eric Miller mentored him for a year, and he's same thing, slow and steady over time, and now he's been one of the top producers
Yeah.
consistently. So it's just that slow and
Did you
steady.
just have like a 23,000
Yeah,
target premium case?
yeah,
IOL.
a massive one. Just issue
It's
paid, man.
just issue paid. Yeah. Dude, he's
And
crushing it.
he's been in the business a year,
He's crushing it.
dude. He's doing great. But
I
it's that
remember when he first came on board, he did the first master class. He was so nervous. Dude, he was like a little baby salesperson, just nervous and anxious.
yeah.
Man.
But you got to build that confidence muscle.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
And
Anyone can
that's
do it. Anyone can
yeah,
do it.
yep,
I think having this apprentice program where you can go hand in hand and side by side with somebody while they're doing remote appointments and you doing it with them is really beneficial to get people through that. There's also some things like I can't. It's hard for me to think of to teach, but you see it when I do it. You know what I'm
your
saying?
tonality matching the client.
Yeah.
You know, um, it's one of those things that you don't notice until it's blatantly in front of your face,
Yeah.
but I've had conversations with you now for years. I know your normal tone. And then I listen to your dial and I'm like, "See, from backwoods Tennessee? Where'd that come from?" So it's but those are the things you pick up on listening to other people in your apprenticeship. And then you're
Yeah.
like, hey, I can do that. So just little changes over time add up huge. I mean, now you and I are both to the point we can pick up a stack of A leads and book an entire day in 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple. I dialed the other day for Medicare and I booked up 6 appointments in an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. I'm
Mm,
about to do it again. I'm going out tomorrow. So, and
nice.
it's
Nice.
almost 5 p.m. I'm going to book my entire day for tomorrow. So simple, man.
How are you liking Medicare so far?
Dude, I'm loving Medicare. I'm absolutely loving it. It's a super easy sales process. It's not even a sale because I'm mainly focusing on Advantage plans right now. And you're not even selling the client anything. You're sitting down with the client and again figuring out their issues and filling a need. You know, hey, is your dental coverage not enough? Over here, you'll have more dental coverage. Just asking questions. What are their issues? Why'd they fill this out? And then you pull up all the plans and you say, hey, this plan will fix this issue. It's not going to cost you anything. You know, I'm not at 100% sales, but I would say I'm probably at 80, 90%.
Oh yeah, the closing ratios, as long as they show, but
Yeah.
you're going in home, so it's a little bit easier. The show ratio is a lot higher.
Show ratio is probably 90% too, working A leads. Like it's ridiculously. I mean, when I first started apprenticing under Medicare, I'm following Josh, him, and he lives up here by me. So I went out in the field with him. We had 9 appointments that day,
Yeah,
9 or 10, and all of them showed but one, and we sold every single client we sat with.
yeah.
It's crazy. So
You could have a fantastic day, honestly.
yep, you just have to work.
Yeah, it is a grind.
I mean, him and I, when we were in the field, we had an appointment every hour on the hour. No lunch, no nothing, just go. Finish one house, right on to the next. Now, we're working mailers. The return rates are much higher for these, and you can group them by zip code. So, like, we didn't have more than a 6-minute drive to a house. So they're all right next to each other because you're ordering by zip code.
Yeah.
So, same thing now. My mail drop was multiple counties, so I do have a big range, but I printed out all my leads and I organized them by zip. So tomorrow I'll hit 2 zip codes and they'll all just be right there. Super
Beautiful.
easy.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Versus, I've worked some final expense stuff and you're driving all over the different counties and there's a long drive. But
Have you been able to do any cross selling with your?
not quite. Is it easy? Yes. But I haven't really. I'm just getting in my groove. But it is very easy to do. On your after you sell the client, I always do multiple touch points, and I call them back, check in, make sure they know what's going on, and hey, just so you know, we also do this. It's simple as that.
Yeah,
And
you get that form. I'm gonna do a video on that form.
dude, I'm
You need to show that form off, bro. Be like, hey, look, when we start, we're already going to be doing this, and like mark it off for them. Is there anything else that you might be interested in? Just so you know, I just like to show you these are all the services and products that I do that I am licensed to handle.
right, right.
And then we're like, oh, well, this is and he's like, hey, I can review policies. I can doesn't mean it's necessarily mean you need to sell it, but you could review if they have a final expense policy or an annuity or something like that.
Yeah, I printed that form out, and my printer was out of freaking ink. I want to put it in a nice little trifold, bro.
Yeah,
That'd
that would actually but then you like I almost like if you almost want to do it and then laminate it and so like give them a marker that like can be marked on it and then you wipe it off or take a picture of it for them and then they
yeah,
wipe it off.
I think it's going to be a little trial and error and see what works best in that one. But it's a great thing to put out there.
Yeah, it is.
But no, man, I'm truly loving Medicare. It's plenty to do. Like the return rate on the leads is great. I've got more leads at the moment than I have time. So,
And
you know,
that's a nice way to be, especially with a high quality lead like a mailer lead,
dude,
which
it's
mail still honestly because that's the generation.
absolutely, absolutely,
Mail's still king with Medicare
yeah,
generation. So
absolutely, man, absolutely.
you're gonna get way more return.
Yeah, yeah. I think 4 or 5 drops, I'm sitting at close to 80 leads now. It's ridiculous. So, um,
Yeah.
but it's my other house is sold now. My time just freed up, so it's time to go hard. I'll be in the field the entire time. So,
Dude, you're gonna have a massive rest of your February. You jump back on the mortgage. These mortgage checks and mail leads are stupid. They're good.
dude, yeah, they are. They are. I mean, everybody answers.
Yeah.
It's and he. Well, let's back up. Let's. Not everybody answers. You still have to chase them to an
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah. Not
You've
as
had
bad.
to
Not as
dial
bad.
twice a day. Right. Right. But it's not like an 8-hour dial day. But yesterday you still had to dial some of them twice.
Yeah.
Some people think, oh, they didn't answer the first time, I'm not calling back. No, call them twice, call them later in that day. You're fine. I mean, I think you said you booked 7 appointments in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
And I still got a couple of points today. Got one tomorrow. I'll probably be able to set another couple tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, but I've already made off of my first week's batch. I've already sold 3 policies, four policies total,
That's,
and total like almost 6K.
yeah. Yeah. And the thing about these mailers, we had a previous company and the mailers said, uh, please fill out and return PennyMac. It didn't say what it was. So the client was filling it out thinking it was from their mortgage. They
Yeah.
had zero idea. These mailers say, hey, in case of critical illness, terminal illness, those
Disability.
yeah, that's what I was looking for. Fill this out and we'll get you information. They know what it is. There's a way more intent behind it.
Yeah.
So, and 100% like first in the home.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
They're very intentional.
yeah,
Yeah. So for the first handful of leads, like I said, I've made 4 sales, almost 6K commissions. That's including the sales I've done today so far. And because they've already been approved.
right.
So um it's 650 for a drop.
Yeah,
As for that, so basically I'm 10xing my weekly return and my 10xing.
that
So
can't be it.
no, you can't. I mean, honestly, you can't. It's amazing.
And it's better than the digital leads because you got people that are just perusing around the internet and wasting their time, sitting on the toilet. The mailers are highly intentional.
Yep.
It's incredible. It's the way to go, man. So, man,
So I will say it's been like I'm impressed with their performance. I'm
yeah,
excited because I kind of want to like for the next couple weeks. I have a trip to Florida to go see the kids, and then when I get back, by the time I get back, I may up my lead flow to another 1,000 and do 2 drops a week, but do a different state, and
right.
then I'm gonna go. My goal is that I have like a 10K day, basically like a 10K Saturday. Just book my entire Saturday full
Yeah.
and friggin' do like a 10K, 10 to 15K Saturday every single weekend. But I need enough lead flow to set up that many appointments on a Saturday to hit those numbers. So I think doing 2 lead drops a week would do that.
Isn't it stupid to think that you can spend 3 hours on Friday dialing and make 10K on a Saturday?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Isn't that like mind-boggling?
it is.
But you actually, I mean, you got to work.
I've done it many
No, I
times.
know you have. I know you have. We all have, bro. But it's still like when you sit there and talk about it, it's like most people barely make that a month.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
there's a lot of people that don't even make close to that a month.
Right. But here we are. Hey, drop 2 lead orders a week. Yes, it's a lot to get rolling, but once it's rolling and steamrolling,
Mhm.
oh, cool. I'm going to sit down on Friday afternoon. I'm going to work Saturday. Oh, there's my 10K.
Yeah. It really is that simple. Like it seriously is that simple.
Yeah.
It's just it's the time investment on the front end of doing if you're doing a mail order of letting that mail trickle in, which
Right.
for me took me 3 weeks. So if
Right.
I do a second order and I add a second order, it will take 3 weeks before those leads start populating in.
Yep.
So that's 3 weeks of me paying for a second order while getting the first order. And that's why I did it that way on purpose. I start with just an order of 1,000. I let this now it's coming in full steam. Now I'm getting like a lot of leads every single week. Now, once I've done this for a couple weeks, I make a bunch of commissions back. Now I can go ahead and say, okay, now I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do 2,000, and then wait for about 3 weeks. That starts rolling in. So by the time that middle to end of March, I've got a consistent, I can make a 10K consistently every single week without even worried. Like then I can look at saying, hey, I want to pay for a dialer. And I can find a dialer that just sets my appointments for me. And then I just show up and I sell it. Right.
Yep.
It's like all these little things. I think this time I'll do a US dialer.
Yeah.
Because I have ideas I want to do for creating a dialing center.
So I want to back up a minute because some people might not understand mail. There are different companies out there where you can go into a CRM and buy leads instantly, right? If you have leads that are just sitting in a CRM, they're typically aged or they could be sold multiple times.
Yeah.
The reason Greg and I are saying it takes 3 weeks is because the moment you pay for that drop, that's when the mail is going out. So you got to think about, they're going to pull the data for the mortgages. They're filling all those out. Then they're going out to the clients. That's several days. The clients, it could be sitting on their desk. They fill it out, and then it's got to come back to you and be scanned in. There is a process for these to actually be real fresh leads.
Yeah.
Sorry about the dog.
That's fine.
It's there is a process to it. Now
But they're also exclusive. You paid for the mail. Whatever comes back is 100% yours, no one else's.
And I know
there's benefits and there's pros and cons to doing it.
Yeah, and you've experienced it too, where we didn't drop mail for a year and a half. Our mail must have been sitting on a client's desk because they filled that shit out, and it still came to us a year later.
Yep, because it's locked by the
codes.
QR codes on them. They're locked to you.
So no matter when they fill that out, it's coming back to you.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that it happens, but there are people that just let it sit. They go through their junk mail and they say, "Oh shit, I want this," and they fill it out and send it to you. Yep. Those right there are pretty much guaranteed sales. That is a lot of intention right there. That's that much time down the road, they're sending it to you. So beautiful, man. It's
well, this is a good conversation, bro. This is good.
Yeah, it took a left turn.
But it was a
great
nice
conversation.
journey.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Very good conversation.
Oh, well, I appreciate you coming on board, man, and just having this conversation with me and sharing with the agents. I'm excited to see how you do with Medicare, and I know you're working with agents, doing some apprenticeship with them and getting them rolling, and they're starting to have a lot of success too. So that's amazing. If you want to reach out to Zach a little bit more about Medicare, what he's doing, or just about our apprenticeship program, and want to learn more, you can reach out to him on his Instagram. You can also check us out on deltafinanciallife.com. And there's a button there to reach out to, just to have questions, and we'll reach out and have a conversation, a one-on-one at any time. Just let us know. If you got anything from this content, if you enjoyed it, if you learned anything, if it gave you a different perspective, then I ask your help. We need your help to grow this, because we grow by word of mouth. We want to help as many agents as possible. So you could just either like, review, share, and follow the content. That means the world to us, to me, helps us to get our message out. And we'll continue to provide as much value as possible, as long as you can share this content and help grow it, and give us a review and a little like. It takes about 60 seconds, so I appreciate it. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch, as always. And until next time, deuces. We'll see you.